Once upon 1,000 years ago, lived a little Japanese boy called Issoumbochi. Issoumbochi was very small, so small in fact, you could lift him on the corner of a fan. In Japanese, his name meant as small as a thumb. Went to the field to work, he could not help as other children sometimes did. However, his parents did not regret this. They loved him very much and were only concerned that he not get lost behind a stone or lump of earth. They would put Issoumbochi on a tree trunk or in some safe spot, and he would sing to them. The parents of Issoumbochi thought that surely he must have the most beautiful little voice in all the world. Issoumbochi soon became sad. Although he brought great joy to his parents just as he was, he wanted to study and work and be more like other children. One day, he went to see his grandfather, who was, of course, the head of the family. Grandfather took a cup, some spoons, and a needle, and gave them to Issoumbochi. "Very well, my son, you may go," said the old man. "Use this cup for your boat, the spoons for your oars, and this needle for your sword. Go to the city, and may the heavens look with favor upon you." Issoumbochi bade his family goodbye and set off to the river's edge. En route to the city in his little cup boat, Issoumbochi saw a bird hovering overhead and staring down at him.
I wonder why he looks at me so. Perhaps he's declaring a chestnut or peapod or some insult that is good to me. No, oh wait, I taste terrible. I have no flavor under my mouth. Oh, what shall I do? What shall I do? See. Yes, that's it. Chestnuts do not sing.
Decided to look elsewhere for his lunch. Issoumbochi cried.
Move aside, frog, and let me pass.
The frog replied, bring the big deep, coax big deep. Issoumbochi realized the frog was in a playful mood. Issoumbochi, however, did not have time to play. Each time the frog seized his cup and shook it back and forth, the tiny boy pricked him with his needle sword. The amazed creature finally allowed him to go on his way. After countless adventures of this kind, Issoumbochi reached the city. What he saw there was far beyond anything he had imagined back in the field singing on his tree trunk. There were so many people, and the city was so very large, and it was so very, very beautiful. The houses were big and airy and full of light, not like his mud house back in the country. There were lanterns and bridges and enchanting gardens. Gentle oxen pulled graceful carts. The people wore handsome silk kimonos embroidered with a fairy tale of wonder. Most enchanting of all to the tiny boy was the large temple with its strange roofs placed one on top of the other. It seemed to rise like a huge, mysterious flower for all to see, no matter where their errands took them. Lovely things, he didn't realize that night was falling. Suddenly, he found himself alone in the streets. All the people had returned to their homes and bolted the doors. It seemed that this city, which is a paradise by day, was menaced each night by an appearance of a ferocious ogre. Issoumbochi felt very alone, a bit homesick, not at all brave. He huddled into the corner of the doorway and did the only thing he knew would help him overcome his fears. He sang quietly. After a while, the door opened a little, and the girl's voice said, "Who is there? Who is singing?"
It is I, Issoumbochi. I came to the city to study and become a useful But I have no friends at all, and I don't know where to
"How nice you are," said the girl. "Come in, I will help you. Perhaps we can study together." And Issoumbochi was given a fine meal and a place to sleep. Early the next morning, Issoumbochi was wide awake and already eager to begin learning. He wanted to know all about the symbols which make up Japanese writing. The girl obliged him with careful instruction and was amazed at the speed with which Issoumbochi learned. Each time he mastered one thing, he wanted to go on immediately to something more difficult. But you must rest, said the girl.
No, I must learn.
And he worked tirelessly day after day, grateful to his kind teacher. Then one day, they decided to take a walk up to the temple. The girl feared that Issoumbochi could not make it up the huge stone steps without exhausting himself. Once again, Issoumbochi was so enchanted by the mysterious temple with its flower-petal roof that he mounted the stairs as if they were his own size. At the top of the stairs, the girl heaved a sigh of relief, but then stopped short. She had just seen the wicked ogre. The ogre was huge. He had yellow claws and crimson skin. Two evil magic horns sprouting from his head. The girl stood horror-stricken and then fainted. Issoumbochi, however, stood softly in front of the ogre, hands on hips, and roared with laughter.
So you are the ogre who frightens everyone? You are surely the ugliest creature I have ever seen.
The ogre was outraged. We've never been treated this way before. Certainly not by someone as tiny as Issoumbochi. I'll destroy you, yelled the ogre.
You clearly can.
The ogre leaned over to swat the tiny mutilated boy, but Issoumbochi leaped immediately onto the tip of his nose. With his sword, he poked the ogre's eyes. Each time the ogre tried to hit him, Issoumbochi jumped or slid to another spot. Each time the ogre would only succeed in giving himself a resounding smack. Issoumbochi taunted him more and more, and the ogre became angrier and angrier. Finally, he lunged at the tiny boy with such strength that he knocked himself completely off his feet. As he yelled furiously, Issoumbochi jumped into the ogre's gaping mouth and slid down to his stomach. With his tiny sword, Issoumbochi made a hole right through the ogre's stomach. Climbing out through the hole, he tumbled safely to the ground. The ogre, exhausted and mortally wounded, lay dying before his eyes. The girl, meanwhile, had recovered, and as the ogre drew his last evil breath, she grabbed his magic horns and yelled, "Issoumbochi, grow big!" She barely said the words when Issoumbochi turned into a handsome, full-grown young man. The grateful people of the city carried Issoumbochi off triumphantly as their hero. They honored him with fame and riches. But even so, Issoumbochi remained humble and continued to study. He knew there was still so much to learn. And he knew he would never forget the girl who had befriended a boy no bigger than a thumb.